Hey, what is up everyone? This is a follow-up video on my last update of my electric guitar build. I have not forgotten your questions, so today is the day. I have my phone here. I'm going to scroll through the comments and see what the most interesting questions are. Very interesting question by Dark Minds. Did you have any intonation issues? Good question, because I slotted the slots myself, and yes, the guitar has very slight intonation problems, but actually when you noodle around you don't really notice it. Actually, even with some chords you don't notice it. It's really depending on the chord that you're playing. I'm totally fine with the result. So now if you really want to build a perfect guitar, I'd recommend to get a CNC pre-cut slotted fretboard. You are the proc version of Sheldon. Okay. What luthier tools? What luthier tools did you have to buy for this build, and their cost? And what router bits did you use? What I bought was a Shinto rasp, about 25 euros, I think. I had to buy a router, which was the most important thing, I guess, which was 120 euros. It's a Bosch router, and I used 3 different router bits. The 8mm comes with the router, a 6mm to route the truss for channel, and an 8mm copy router bit with a bearing on it to, route along a template that you made. Now the copy router bit was, I think, 44 euros or so. It's not cheap at all, but it was a quality tool. I would not recommend to buy any, China router bits. Other than that, I used simple tools, saws, a jigsaw, which I had. I sanded most of the stuff by hand, and also very recommendable is a bobbin sander or a spindle sander, which was also 120 euros by Shepard. How much more pain would stainless steel frets be? I have no idea. I've never worked with stainless steel frets. I've heard that they are hard to work with, but I cannot tell you how much work it would be additionally. Didn't you sand the frets into level? That would help a lot with the buzz. I leveled the frets, but I think the fretboard wasn't, or the neck wasn't perfectly straight when I sanded, so it had a slight curve probably, so the leveling didn't work the way it should. What I should have invested in was a notched straight edge to check if the neck is perfectly straight. How is a truss rod installed? Actually pretty straightforward. Just measure twice or triple before you route, and I just, I've set up a piece of wood like this on my bench, so the router could ride along that piece of wood, so I would have a nice straight cavity. Overall, it is not so hard. You just have to take the time to do it properly. Would you do a build for someone? If so, what do you think would you charge? Honestly, I don't think that I will build a guitar for someone else in the near future, because I just, I would not feel comfortable to build something for someone that paid money and not be sure what the result is going to be. I have a long way to go. How did you get such depth in the grain in your guitar's body finish? That looks killer. Also math. How much math did you have to do to decide things like neck pocket depth, bridge height, neck angle, etc. The body finish, I stained it black and then I slightly sanded it off, so the darker areas of the grain get even more, accentuated. How much math? The most math involved here is obviously your scale length. That is the first thing that you do. Where do my strings start? Where's my nut? Where's my bridge? Where are my frets? And how wide is my neck at both ends? That's the most important thing, in my opinion. The rest can be, according to your liking. Can you build me a headless Solange guitar? Right now I can't, sorry. What are some of the mistakes you made? And maybe what are some changes you would make for the next build? Mistakes that I made were with the fretwork, or putting in the frets. Overall, the fret job was not so well done as I hoped. Maybe that was a bit too much doing it for the first time ever. However, it was an experience, and what I would change for the next build, definitely use a different finishing oil, not tung oil, because it starts to smell like French fries at some point. At least the one I used did. How heavy is it? Good question, Neon. It is heavy as fuck. I realized that when I had the Ash blank already in my hands. It was so freaking heavy. The guitar remains very, very, very heavy, even with the pockets and the cavities where you lose material. It's still heavy as fuck. I think it's comparable to my Ibanez 8-string. However, my next build is going to be super light. That one has a swamp ash body and a flame maple top, and the body, just the raw body, is super light already. I'm really looking forward to that. What was the most difficult part of the build for you? I think routing the neck pocket, or marking where the neck pocket goes, was quite stressful because the neck has to sit really straight into there. Also, quick tip now thinking about it, don't skip any steps when you're doing something like that in your basement with not so much experience like I do. So when one step was successfully achieved, only then will I do the next thing, instead of skipping ahead and then something's off. Or first I noticed that your fingerboard is very thick. Is it planed? If yes, the reason is? Okay, a few questions. So first question, yes, my fingerboard on my first build is way too thick. I thought I would just sand off with the reducing block, sand it off to the right thickness that I needed, but the oak was just too strong. What I did for the second build is take my fretboard blank to a wood workshop and have it planed. When you choose the neck wood and build this guitar, would you make sure the neck can keep straight under 6 strings of pressure? I wasn't too concerned about the wood handling the tension of the strings. I just bought blanks. I made a guitar out of them. Wood is much stronger than you might think. What string gauges did you put on this? I think it's an 11 to 54 7-string set. Obviously just using the low 6 strings. It's a D'Addario set. Oh yes, very, very interesting. How much did everything roughly cost? Now the cost for the materials was around 250 euros without the bridge and without pickups. As you know, Schaller was kind enough to send me a bridge, and I was very lucky to have Roncesvalles Custom who sent me a set of beautiful and amazing sounding pickups for this guitar. So let's say 250 plus a bridge, 350 plus a set of pickups, let's say a not so expensive set, 500 euros minimum. And I chose very, 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 very cheap woods. Building a guitar from scratch or on your own does not mean that you're getting a custom guitar for basically nothing. You have to calculate around 600 to even 1,000 euros worth of material and hardware and all that stuff. And then you don't even have a guitar. You still have to build it yourself. And if you don't have tools, you have to invest at least 400 to 500 euros worth of tools, depending on what you already have. It's a hobby that you invest time and money into. It's not something you do to save money. Right. Could you go into a lot of detail how you made the neck, sources you followed, measurements, etc.? The neck is my one concern about building a guitar. Well, in that case, Joel, you can also, just build a first guitar with a neck that you've bought from, a cheap Ibanez or so, just to get a feel for crafting. I measured the dimensions of my Markline neck, width, thickness, etc., and copied those measurements. Now, I'm pretty sure that on the internet you can find so many plans and all that stuff. The main source I followed was Crimson Guitars. It is all free. It's all free there on YouTube, just accessible to everyone. So I would recommend to watch that series. How's it called? how to build a guitar, sponsored by Triton. So look it up. You'll find it. I'm pretty sure it's an episode of, I think, 5 hours, 6 hours, or even more. I sat down, I watched it 2 times, took notes, and that helped so much. I think we are all thinking the same thing. How much? If you want to buy that guitar, someone wrote me an email and suggested 400 euros. And I was like, the guitar, the materials used on that guitar, just the materials are worth 500 euros. That's a problem I have with my first build. It's cool, it's nice, it has good materials, but feeling-wise, quality-wise, it is not up to level with a 2,500 euro instrument, or even less. So if I wanted to sell it, I just can't ask, 1,500 euros for it, even though I put so much work into it, but just because the quality isn't right. It doesn't make any sense to sell it unless someone would be interested in kind of, investing into me and, give me the opportunity to use that money now for my second build and so on, to improve myself. And maybe one day that guitar, or the owner of my first guitar, would be very, very lucky, because maybe someday I build good guitars and you would own my first guitar. So I don't know, that's just a thought. If you're interested in investing into me or my company, I'm not a company, I don't know, just write me a message. Since you built an amazing looking cab and guitar, do you think you will try to build amps and or effects? Yes, you probably didn't know that, but I've built a guitar cabinet, a 4x12, about 2 years ago. And that turned out really nice. I'm really happy with that cab. I still use it when I'm playing at home. Question, are you going to build amps or effects? I don't think so, because I have just a very, very, very basic understanding of how amps and pedals work. I prefer working with wood instead of electronics. Which is the woodworking tools that you didn't have available and you think would have made your job easier? Good question. I think, how you call that? I literally forgot the name of the tool. A bandsaw, right. A bandsaw would be so nice. I mean, a bandsaw is expensive and I don't know if it's worth the investment, but would you recommend the tuners? I bought locking tuners, no-name locking tuners from xtech.co.uk, and they are excellent, I must say. They are I would say they are as good as any, known brand locking tuners. What about the input jack construction? Is it fragile? I mean this cut where the top looks very thin. I've made this little recess because I think it's really cool, and it looks, maybe it looks fragile, but it is not. This ash body is so hard, and those 5 mil of material are absolutely strong enough. What's next? A baritone? Actually, yeah, kind of. The next guitar is going to be a 26.5 inch 7-string. It's absolutely insane how many people said they would buy one, even though this is my first guitar and I have never played it. It's absolutely amazing. Regarding the frets, how did you know where to put them? Do you have a reference somewhere showing where to put them for a given neck length? Yes, go to stewmac.com. They have a fret position calculator, so you can type in any scale that you want and this calculator will give you the absolutely exact positions for your frets. Did you glue the wood screws in? No, I just screwed them in. What tuning do you use mostly on 6-string guitars? I like drop tunings such as drop C or drop B mainly. Do you think you can get some footage pics of the neck carving process for a next build? The next build is going to be captured more or less on video, so you're going to see how I shape the neck. Do you have body templates? No. I've made a template for the body, but then when I cut it out I realized the hips are way too wide, although I like wide hips. I thought, just with the spindle sander I'd form the guitar just using my eyes and my fingertips to feel if the shape is right. And I think that's a part of the process where you can be really free and use your senses to feel if the proportions are right. Beautiful instrument, my guy, fantastic job. What is the ring muter on your headstock called? It is called a fret wrap. It's called a fret wrap by Groove Gear. Why the string on the bridge looks a bit to the side or tilted? The string spacing can be adjusted, and that string was kind of, the adjustment was off for some reason. But yeah, this bridge, this shallow bridge is so amazing. I'm not saying that because I got the bridge for free, but it has to be said. You can adjust string height, intonation, and even string spacing. That is absolutely amazing. The color is so bad, but the guitar is so cool. Okay. Black is not a color. Alright, I hope that the most important question we covered in this video, it's going to be long as hell. So I'm just going to stop right here. Thank you so much for watching. If there should be any questions left, write them here and I'm going to answer them in the comment section. Until next video, take care, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.